USHERGATE has a part 3, y'all, because the lady in question has done an interview with TMZ, y'all. Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. So, today we are talking part 3 of USHERGATE because this will not go away because now the lady has spoken to TMZ. And before we get into that, listen, why is TMZ always at the scene anytime there is any controversy involving these black celebs? I never see this the other way with any of these other celebrities, but case in point, what happened with Glorilla and Glorilla's sister. And guess who got an interview? Glorilla's sister. You see the pattern? Anything that looks like they can turn into a scandal, that they can look and turn into a controversy, or maybe they weren't paid off enough by these celebs to shut a story down. They're like, okay, let me seek you out. Let me get an interview. But before we get into that, it seems TMZ is both on Chris Brown and Usher's. You know what I'm saying? That they are on them like white on rice, because they also reported that housekeeper that sued Chris Brown, that is allegedly got a $13 million settlement, is trying to go after Chris Brown's tour wages, because it sounds like she did not get payment yet. It sounds like, you know what I'm saying, she did not get her receipts yet. She didn't get those direct deposits. And if there's a delay on these payments, then how about we can just start, cutting the wages from your tour and seizing those wages from your tour, so you're basically performing for free. You are basically doing this stadium tour for free. The rate Chris Brown is going, he's going to be touring forever, ever. And not just because of the child support and all the kids that he wants to have out here with all the karaoke lookalikes in the world. It's not even because of that. It is because this man stays in court. This man stays with the case. Which is insane to me. It is absolutely insane. But that's what Chris Brown wants to do. He wants to continue to put himself in situations that is going to always have him hemmed up. So if they go after his shmoney on the tour, does that mean that he's not going to give y'all the same quality of performance? You know what I'm saying? Does that mean that if the net for the show, you know what I'm saying, coming up, if they decide, if the judge approves this and decides, hey, let's go after the tour money to pay the housekeeper, you know what I'm saying? Does that mean that he's not going to go all in? Does that mean Take You Down goes off the set list? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's giving, you are going to be touring forever, ever. You're going to be putting out an album year after year after year until the end of time to pay these lawsuits off. So that is that on that. Next, we got to get into USHERGATE. As you guys know, I have done 2 videos already. I see the comments. Y'all got mixed reviews on all of this. As you guys know, if you want to go back to my previous videos, it has the videos on there where there was a tour stop. Usher, during his set, performs Can You Handle It off the Diamond Confessions album. Always has, female participants, all the things that, get selected to come on stage, all of this, all of that, no problem, right? This lady that got selected, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't interested, right? She wasn't feeling it. She gave him the stank face. You know what I'm saying? She turned away. Listen, everyone knows what rejection looks like, and everyone knows what rejection feels like. And she was not feeling no Usher. She wanted Chris Brown, and it is not a assumption. She said it herself. So ultimately what has happened, there was a lot of backlash. There was people who were Team Usher because Usher ultimately decided, I don't think she's feeling me, and signaled to the security, like get her off my stage. If she's not going to participate, we can get her off the stage quick, fast, in a hurry. And so what happened was, I thought this story was going to go away, because to me, if you just stay quiet anytime there's a scandal, you know what I'm saying? Let it rock for, 24 hours, 48 hours max. They're going to move on to something else. But unfortunately, people had found the lady's Facebook account. They found her social media account, in which she was going off, cussing people out, talking about pretty privilege, calling people 304s, giving all that energy. Basically said she did not know whether it was going to be Usher or Chris Brown, that she had floor seats and all of the things. They decided to move her and her party to the VIP section, where you could potentially get selected to go on stage with Chris Brown or Usher. But you don't know which one until it happens, right? But I am of the mind that if you were going through the set list and you already see, because I don't know the order or the particulars, but if you already see Chris Brown doing his thing with the Take You Down of it all, because I don't know if Chris Brown's Take You Down is before Usher's Can You Handle It, but if you already see that going down, you have to know 9 times out of 10 that it's not going to be you for Chris Brown. That if you are in the running, it's not going to be for Chris Brown. It's going to be for Usher at that point, right? So she got backlash for what she said on the Facebook. And there was a podcast that had interviewed her, and all this and all of that. Basically said that she's not an internet girly, and she doesn't understand why all these people are saying all this and all that, and that she got harassed, she got trolled, she got attacked. Not physically attacked, but just people were trolling her, people were cyberbullying her, all this and all of that, because they were mad, I guess, that she did not perform for Usher, right? And ultimately, she said that, she's a baddie, she's this, she's that, and would have preferred that if it was Chris Brown. So now TMZ is on the line. TMZ's on the line, and I bet they paid a nice penny for this interview. You know what I'm saying? Not the 25 Thou Wow flat or the 2,500 flat that Glorilla's sister was looking for, but maybe they paid her a little some change, right? For her to get on here and answer some questions about Usher, baby. And that is what we are going to get into now.
Why weren't you into it?
It wasn't that I was into it. I was approached first and upgraded to VIP, and they don't give you any instructions on who, what, when, where, or how.
They didn't tell you they were going to pull you on stage?
They told me that it was a possibility of me going on stage, but they didn't confirm that until it was closer to time for me to go on stage.
Now, this is interesting because other people were in the comments on some other posts, I believe either via Live Bites or the Shade Room or the Neighborhood Talk, that have also went to this show. And basically, they were told in that section that she's talking about she got moved to, that they ask in advance, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a husband? That disqualifies you, right? And also as well, they, let you know, kind of like what she's saying as well, that, what you don't know yet if it's going to be Chris Brown or Usher as far as what the potential is. Also, people said as well, it didn't matter where you sat at. It wasn't necessarily the nosebleeds, but you don't have to be on the floor for you to get selected, because ultimately, when you arrive to these concerts and these shows, there are people undercover on these celebrities' teams that are scoping out the audience, scoping out the females. They know, who could be a potential to come out on stage for an Usher or for a Chris Brown. Let's continue.
And of course, you're getting to go up on stage. Why would I decline that? People are pulling the narrative that I'm in a relationship or whatever the case may be. No one can tell me the reasoning as to why I said yes to getting on stage. But you also don't know who you're going on stage for or with.
I'm going to kind of pick up what you put down there. You said, I didn't know who I was going to be pulled up on stage with. The way I see it, there are two people There's Usher and there's Chris Brown. And that means that you were banking on Chris Brown and you got Usher and you would have been more into it with Chris Brown. Am I reading this right?
Me solely, I went to the concert for Chris Brown. It's nothing against Usher or anything like that, but I'm more of a Chris Brown fan than I am of Usher. So, of course, it would have been a different reaction with Chris Brown.
Did I not say that she wanted Chris Brown? If you weren't interested in Usher, you were interested in Chris Brown. And y'all drug me. Y'all drug me. And y'all were like, Anonymous T, that's not the case. She doesn't want Chris Brown either. Then why is she at the concert? Why is she at the concert? She was there for somebody. And if she wasn't there for Usher, then she's there for Chris Brown. Like the math was mathing. That if it's not Usher, it's Chris Brown. I don't know who was saying that she was in a relationship. I don't know who was saying those narratives. I never got the vibe that that was what it was. What it was that you couldn't do your big one because it wasn't Chris Brown. However, you were not going to turn down any opportunity to go on the stage. But I'm inclined to believe that you knew who you were going on stage for and still chose to, take that opportunity because it's an opportunity for your time to shine. You are just upset because of the backlash that people felt as though you did not participate, you were not interested, you gave Usher that stank face and all this and all that. So you're saying it's nothing against Usher, it's not personal, all this and all that, but you would have preferred it to be Chris Brown. And I feel like, low-key, high-key, is this an opportunity for you to go to another show and specifically be selected by Chris Brown? I can't help but think that this is the real reason for these interviews. That you want potentially to go to another show and hope that it is Chris Brown that personally selects you for the Take You Down section of the performance. Let's continue. There's just a little bit more left.
It wouldn't been the stiffness or whatever the internet is portraying.
So you, after what happened, some of the fans were getting on you, saying you had no business being on stage. I thought your response to them was interesting. You explained that their team approached you and moved you to VIP before the show even started, and then you said, "Pretty privileges, something you hoes will never know about."
That post specifically was directed towards my city.
So she's saying her commentary about being pretty privileged, something you 304s will never know about. It wasn't directed to the rest of us. It was directed to the people in her city, in her town, basically trying to throw shade at the other concert goers that they don't look like her, that they don't got the motion like her, that they don't got pretty privilege like her, which I still feel is problematic. You know what I'm saying? It's still problematic, like no matter how you slice it or dice it. You know what I mean? But ultimately, that's the hill that she wants to stand on, that it wasn't throwing shade to the world, that the world is ugly. She's basically saying the concert goers were ugly. And she was pretty enough to be selected in VIP, but you did not find Usher pretty enough to participate in all the things. You said that you didn't like him, you weren't attracted to him, he was all sweaty and all this and all that, which I don't know what singer wouldn't be sweaty with all the dancing and moving around that Usher and Chris Brown got to do. I don't think you would have minded if it was Chris Brown. I just think that you preferred it to be Chris Brown, and I feel like this is an audition for you to get selected again and go to another show. That's what it feels like to me. Because if you didn't care about what the people were saying, if you were truly unbothered, you would not have done not one podcast, not one post, not none. You would have, anytime there is an internet firestorm, a lot of PR people would tell you, I'm not in PR, but I've observed other celebrity scandals. I've observed reality TV star scandals. I've observed other public figure scandals. Or when somebody randomly comes into the spotlight that might be an unknown person and there's a smear campaign against them. And whether that smear campaign is true or false, if you do not address it, if you do not acknowledge it, if you go ghost, you know what I'm saying? If you delete your account or whatever the case may be, or temporarily deactivate, they move on to something else. That's why I always say the best response is no response. But the more response that this is giving, it's giving life. And it's giving people who might have been on the fence with all of this are now going to be Team Usher. And Team Usher did the right thing. Because now they're going to view you as a clout chaser. Now they're going to view you as being performative. Because at first, you weren't saying that you preferred Chris Brown, right? Until you got on the first podcast and until you put out some more, Facebook posts. Now on TMZ, oh, it's not that I wouldn't do anything like that. It's not that I'm not ladylike. It's not that, you know what I'm saying, I wouldn't act like 304. It's just that it wasn't the right dude up there. It wasn't the right performance. It wasn't Chris Breezy. That's what this is about. It is about Chris Brown. And you want more tickets to another show so you can be a part of the Take You Down and get selected specifically by Chris Brown. Now, what would be funny about all of this? What would be funny? What would be hilarious is if she gets invited to another show and she gets selected to go on stage again, but it's not for Chris Brown. It's for Usher again. And to see whether or not, knowing this press tour that she is doing, Reed Neal, saying that it would have been different energy for Chris Brown if she is still going to have that same stank face on her face with Usher. That would be hilarious. Like, yes, we're going to invite you again. This time you're going to get your opportunity with Chris Brown, with Chris Breezy, only for them to pick her up once again for Usher. And then if she does not participate, have another girl on standby to continue the performance. I feel like that would be the biggest troll job, just as some get back for all of these interviews. That would be hilarious. But we will see what comes of this. We will see if she does any more interviews. Like I said, I think personally she should have just let it rock and just not said anything. Her reaction on her face clearly showed she wasn't there for Usher, so I don't understand why she's even upset about that. But y'all that were telling me in the comments, oh, she wasn't there for Chris Brown either, yeah, she was. Yeah, she was, because I'm noticing that a lot of y'all concert goers for this tour are either Team Usher or Team Chris Brown, and I'm not seeing the people who are Team both. So anyways, that is it for this video. Do me the biggest favor, and that is to hype the video. Hype the video, please. There's that. That is it. That is all. Es todos, es final. Es finito. Es the end of the road. Es the end of the line for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I talk to you guys again very soon.